Here's the Midnight Round, and today it is Vloguary day 7. Today it is a really cold day. I have only been out once today, and that was to Tesco's to get a couple of essential supplies because we are in a bitterly cold UK today. So I have stayed in. I have already been out. It is about 5:30 in the evening. I've already been to Tesco's to get my essentials. I did post some Vinted parcels. And today's Vloguary, I thought I would talk about Vinted. So if you didn't know, I had a second channel. It's called Thrifting with Raven. And on there, I do everything from bin diving to car booting, charity shops, you name it. I use that channel to promote stuff to make a profit for little or no outlay. What I have been doing is I've been doing Vinted for a good few years. Literally since Vinted came out, I have been a reseller. Now, I thought I would chat about reselling on this channel and to just give you a bit of an insight into what I do as a reseller. So starting with the basics, if you didn't know what Vinted was, it's an online platform which you can get on your phone as an app, or you can do it on your laptop or desktop. And you go on there and you sign up for an account, totally free, and you can instantly start selling. As long as you're over the age of 18, you can start selling, and as long as you have a bank account to receive the money. That's basically the starting point. Once you've set up your account, you can start listing stuff. And I have, like I said, I've got a second channel where I'm going to go through all of this in more detail and go through Vinted in more detail. So once your account is set up, you need to find stuff that you can sell. The first protocol is to check your own house. Check whether you personally have stuff you can sell, whether that's old clothes you haven't worn, old toys, maybe Christmas decorations, anything in your house that you'd want to sell. Use, for example, this book. If I wasn't already writing in it, you could put it on Vinted and sell it. You could put old clothes. You could put anything really on there within reason. There is a list of what you can and can't sell. Always check that before you list something so you don't get into trouble. Once your item has listed, which does take on average 5 minutes depending on the item, where you give the color, the height, you pick the postage and everything else, and a price, obviously, because you want to make some money, and you list your item. There are things you can do to make your listing better by bumping the item or showcasing your wardrobe, which is where you put your items. But starting with the basics, that's all you need to know. Once you've listed your item, eventually you'll get people that will favorite your item, and then hopefully your item would sell. Once your item sells, you will need to gather some supplies. This will include tape, labels, maybe a printer, and things like envelopes or mailers, which I have a desk that I keep all my supplies in. So once your item sells, on there you will find that you can print off a label for your parcel, or you can do it by InPost where they print them off for you, or you can take it to your local post office for Every and that. And there are drop-off points all around the country. So whether you want to post it by Every or Royal Mail or DPD or Yodel, there is plenty that you can choose from. So depending on where you live, won't be a problem on still being able to resell. Once you sell your item, you post it, and then once your item arrives at the other end, once the person has confirmed that they have your item, your money is then released. So there's no outlay for you for postage because all customers pay their own postage. And then once the item has been picked up, your money is usually released 2 days as long as there are no problems with the parcel. You then get your money within 2 days into your account, which you can then transfer to your bank, which takes usually 24 hours unless it is a sizable amount of money where it can take longer. If you don't have items in your house to sell, what do? Well, there are ways around that. You could go to a yard sale and pick up some really cheap items. You could go to your local car boot. You could go to your local charity shop. You could ask your friends and family if they have stuff. You could ask your work colleagues. There is always a way of making profit without having to outlay a lot of money. Obviously, if you go to a charity shop, you could buy things like clothing bundles, the same as you can at car boots. And car boots is a good way of getting things like job lots, where you get boxes of stuff or bags of stuff at relatively cheap prices, usually for a couple of quid, and then you can sell them for a profit. Charity shops are also doing things like mystery bundle bags and mystery boxes, where you get a bunch of items for a couple of quid, sometimes up to a fiver for a whole bag of like 20 or 30 items of clothes. In my case, I found that bundle bags are really worthwhile. You could go to your local yard sales. You might pick up some random items for 50p and be able to sell them for more. So you're not going to become a millionaire working for Vinted, but you can make it into a full-time business. There are people on Vinted who are on Vinted Pro, which is the second part of Vinted, which is for professional resellers with businesses. I technically just sell a few items from home, or a few items I get from the car boot or a charity shop, and make profit. I've also sold some of my own stuff, including things like my pin collection and other stuff like my postcard collection and stuff, and made money. So, although Vinted's not going to make you a millionaire overnight, you can do it as a hobby, or you can make it into a part-time job, or you could go full-time and do Vinted Pro, which I haven't dabbled into yet. I haven't gone into self-employment yet, but would I do it in the future? It is a possibility. It is a way of making money. You can make your own hours, your own times. You can sell things at your own pace, make as little or as much money as you want, because obviously you're the ones listing and making the prices. How long does it take you to do Vinted? It depends. If you want to put a bunch of items up, you're obviously going to have to set aside time to go through the listings. And if you want to make it more of a viable business, you'll have to give yourself time to list stuff and time to accumulate stuff by going out shopping, going to car boots, taking time out of your day to, as they call it, get some stock. Then you come home, you go through the stock, you list it and everything. So it can become a full-time job where you are spending an average 7 or 8 hours a day, the same as you would a 9 to 5 job. Doing it at home, your hours probably vary slightly. If you wanted to make it just a little side business, you could spend 3-4 hours a day, or even just an hour a day. The choice is up to you how much or little you put into the business, whether it's putting money into the business, putting time into the business, or putting your life into the business. So Vinted is a part of my life at the minute. I have been using my Vinted hobby at the minute, not a business, a hobby, to fund travel to and from the hospital. I have used it to fund Christmas. It has been a nice little side earner, if you want to call it, where you can put a few hours in a day and end up with a bit of extra cash. No harm in making a bit of extra money, especially in this economy. If you haven't thought of trying Vinted out, I highly recommend it. I'm not sponsored or affiliated with them. I do have my own shop on there. I'm not a registered business or anything. I just sell stuff that I find. I've had friends and family give me stuff to sell. I bought stuff at car boots to sell, and I bought bundles at charity shops to sell. So I have what I call a little hobby. It makes me a little bit of extra money, which is going to hospital travel and is going to my holiday I'd love to go on this year. And hopefully my son will come with me and it'll all be worthwhile. Hopefully, or eventually, I would love to make it at least a part-time business, maybe alongside a job, or even do Vinted Pro and become a full-time seller. I would quite happily be doing that because I love shopping. When it comes to charity shops and car boots, I love outsourcing, getting out of the house and then coming home and listing it all and throwing myself into something worthwhile, because then at the end of the day, I'm making money for little to no effort at all. It doesn't take as much effort as it seems to run a Vinted business. I know lots of people that do it. You could also run your business off TikTok. You could run your business off WhatsApp. You could run your business off Tilt, Depop, Facebook Marketplace. There are tons of places you can make some extra money. And in this economy right now, that's what you should be doing. Have a side gig alongside your job, do it part-time, or if you're really good at it and you make a good profit, try and make it a full-time business, because there is nothing better than being your own boss. And that is just a little insight into Vinted, where I have spent most of my last year throwing myself into. But today is Vloguary day 7. Let me know if you need to know anything about Vinted. Let me know if you sell on Vinted. I am in the UK, so obviously it's a bit different wherever you are. I know France do Vinted as well. But I haven't done Vinted Pro yet. But I would be interested in hearing if anybody else does Vinted Pro, and whether it's beneficial to be a business pro seller than it is just a normal one. But give it a big thumbs up, support the channel with a PayPal super chat or super thanks. 'Tis the season to be sharing. It is 2025, and I will see you tomorrow for day 8 of Vloguary. Thank you for watching. Bye guys.